So my name is Bill DeMars. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for NPPGov. We are a national cooperative buying organization. We're based out of Seattle, Washington. Our contracts can be used nationally in the US and Canada. We have over 300 contracts for all types of things from public safety to office supplies to just about everything you can imagine. Our talk today is on AI. And like procurement, it's something that I kind of got thrust into. How many people left high school and said, I want to go into procurement? Exactly. How many of us just, it's by happenstance, got into procurement? Yeah, there we go. Absolutely. So with that being said, how many people here, obviously our talk is on AI, how many people here work with the solicitation end of procurement? Quite a few, yep. And how many of you in the solicitation are addressing AI? Have wording in there that has a framework or suggested anything?
I've seen things where companies will reference, like if consultant uses AI in their proposal, they need to cite what is AI and the bot that they use.
Absolutely, perfect.
So like, that's genius.
Yes. Yep. Well, know that there are two pieces, leave behinds that we've created for you. If you're interested, please drop a business card or write your name and email address on a piece of paper. So we have two documents as a leave behind. I'm going to show you those here in a second. This is kind of a fun one. The feeling one has when forced to participate in workplace team building events. You know, that's us right here. Things that we're going to go through. Understand AI risks in procurement, recognize cybersecurity implications, apply mitigation strategies. And again, we're not going to go deep. These are going to be at a high level, but at least it's going to open the discussion for you when you get back home to start asking some pointed questions of your IT department of how do we mitigate these things. And then I want you to leave with a 90-day plan. Again, it's not going to go deep, but it's going to have some questions that you're going to be able to go back and ask your IT people and others to help be more compliant from a cyber standpoint. So I talked a little bit about the leave behind pieces. One of the pieces that I'm happy to send to you, these are free. All we're trying to do is help people with AI. This one is an addendum, and because most people here from California, I adapted it for California with the statutes. But what this is this is an addendum that you can use in your solicitations to better define AI, what your expectation is if somebody uses it, all of those things, and they're free. I'm happy to send them. That's part of the deal. Come on up. Absolutely. The next one I have is AI rules. It's basically a guidance document that kind of asks some pointed questions and offers some suggestions about how to use AI, how not to use AI within your municipality, and not just your department, but others. I'm hoping that these are springboards for you to spur conversation to keep your municipalities out of trouble. Any questions so far? Okay. The best thing about when I talk, I like participation. I thought it was great. Thank you very much for speaking up. That's what makes these presentations for me better is when people speak up, they ask a question, they give an example, they tell an experience. We all get to learn cumulatively from those things. So please feel free to raise your hand, speak up, ask a question, or give an example. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of a fun thing with AI. AI is changing so many things that we do in our lives, personal, professional, all of that, including dating, but I'm not going to go there today. We were at a retreat and everybody, we would break the group off and every one of the colors was a different group. And we would ask a question, and this one was, what was going well within our company? And they would write down one comment per Post-it note, and there's what they were. The good part is we actually have some great things going on at NPPGov. So that was one of the parts. But anyways, They have all of these, and we actually had 3 or 4 of these papers with all of these notes on it. What do you have to do with these after? Somebody has to sit down and type all those, right? I said, you know what? What would be cool is if I took a picture, that's the actual picture, and I dropped it into Gemini and said, I'm doing a strategic planning meeting, and each one of these colored Post-it notes has a comment on it, and there's a circle defining who the group was that was writing it. Please transcribe this by group, the circle, and transcribe it. Bam, 30 seconds. I had all of these Post-it notes from 4 of these, not just one of them, 4 of them in a document and done. You know how much time that saved me sitting there afterwards? But it's something so simple. And again, I wanted to kind of bring the reality of how this is changing our lives and making things more efficient. Hey there. Sure.
They didn't have our speaker here, the person to help moderate it, so I've got Brian's going to help you. Give you the 10-minute, 5-minute.
Okay, perfect.
Are you the only speaker?
Just me.
Okay, so he'll help take over and close it out with you, okay?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, they didn't have, the person didn't show up that was supposed to help you, and they're like, here, go do it.
Well, I don't need help unless somebody wants to.
I know you don't.
Sure.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. We met last year.
Yes.
Nice seeing you again. So anyways, we took this, I put it through Gemini, and bam, all of a sudden, it puts it in a document that we can then work with. Saving time, saving money, helping, one of the things that we do. I didn't want to sit there and type all that. So again, anybody else have any experiences with AI and how it's kind of helped them in their job? Anything quick? Sure.
I deal with systems. I troubleshoot people's problems.
Yep.
And after I troubleshoot, I find a solution. I discuss with AI, ChatGPT for brainstorming. And then after I find a solution, instead of typing a brand new job aid, which would take me about 30 minutes, I just said, ChatGPT, turn this into a job aid based on what the solution I discovered. And then I can distribute it to a whole team.
Cool. That's awesome. And have you learned how to write the prompts differently as you've got more experience, how to make it better as time goes on?
I'm a Trekkie. Right? I grew up watching the Next Generation.
Sure.
Star Trek Next Generation. So I talk to AI like as if I would be talking to enterprise computer. That's the best way. That's the best way.
It works, right?
It works.
Absolutely. I mean, who would have ever thought, you look back 20 years when we were younger and, they would talk into their lapel, on Star Trek and stuff. And what are we doing now? We're talking into our wrist and our iPhones and our iWatches and all of that. What's that? And your sunglasses, Meta glasses, absolutely. Another question I have is, I asked about who has AI in their solicitations. Who has an AI policy or guidance document in their municipality? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Absolutely. I would be surprised if you didn't. So I'm just talking about experience. We have the professional, the keynote speaker from NIGP here. So again, looking back at those notes, how long would that take? Who owns the output? Who's going to have to do that? Again, it's taking people's time and resources. How long does it take to transcribe? What it does is it's taking chaos and making it clear. It's taking notes that you would write on a piece of paper and putting it into something that you can use. Some of the newer things that you're seeing now are being able to use your phone or other devices to record a conversation and then take that and make action items out of it. Have you guys seen those kind of things that people are doing? I use one, it's called Plaud, P-L-A-U-D, and I love it. Literally, it's a little square, it's like 3 times the thickness of a credit card, and I'll just have it in a meeting. I tell everybody before I use it, hey, does anybody mind if I transcribe the notes in this? Everybody's like, no, because I know that I can read it if it transcribes it. And it's great. It's a great tool. I think they're a couple $100. the money that has saved in time has been great. So again, it takes chaos and makes it clear. Couple things I want to talk about. What is AI? You know, AI is kind of this big, huge pie of things, but you really have to break AI into multiple parts to understand it. The first one is generative AI. Really simple. It generates things. You put something in a prompt, it creates it, it generates it, it spits out an output. Pretty straightforward, right? The other one is called agentic. It's an agent. It's something that does something for you. So it goes, you could program an agent that will actually go into your data and every morning will give you a report that shows you tasks that you have to do that day. Or it could be, it goes into your purchasing system and runs a report of all of those things that you have to do that day. That's an agent. It does something for you. The two are very different, but they function very similarly. Does anybody here use any agents at all? What's kind of funny is you may be using them and not even know it. So where you're going to start to see more agentic AI is going to be in the software programs that you use. They use an agent embedded in them to actually run their code behind the scenes and you don't even know it. So that's kind of the two big differences in the types of, of AI. Questions so far? Thoughts? What is an LLM? Large language model, absolutely. Where are those stored?
Probably every server in the world.
So they're scraping. So large language models are, imagine it's a big database and it's housed in multiple computers. So you're going to have Gemini. Gemini has its large language model saved, multiple computers. The fastest growing industry right now is data storage for AI and processing. The second is power generation to supply power for AI. And the third, believe it or not, are the cooling systems for the processors for AI. So those are the biggest markets that you're seeing, kind of a side note. So large language models, boom, they're in the cloud, they're big. Where else can you save LLMs? Locally. So if you go to, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, but there's two parts, and maybe I'll get to it here. Yep, I do. There are two kinds of LLMs. There's enterprise, and then there's consumer. Enterprise is what's called grounded. It saves your information from your emails, from all of your system, and it saves it in your server. It's not available to people outside. It's not added to Gemini. It's not added to ChatGPT or anybody else. It's just your data, and it's called grounded. The advantage of that is if you put proprietary confidential information into your system, it's going to stay there. But if you were to take that same document and maybe it's a bid solicitation and some specifications and different information about an upcoming solicitation, if you put that into a consumer AI engine, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, pick one, where do you think that's going to go? In the cloud. And guess who has access to that? Everybody on the system. So imagine you've got a solicitation coming up. Chances are limited, but it could happen. You have specs. You've got information, you're trying to pull together this solicitation, and you put it into a consumer AI engine, and all of a sudden you have a vendor. He's trying to create a proposal for your solicitation, and it starts to pull information that you put in there. Is that fair? Is it illegal? I don't know. But again, that's the difference between the two is if you're going to use AI, the suggestion is use your enterprise for those things to keep others from having access to it. Does that make sense? Questions, thoughts so far? The AI engines that you use here, are they consumer or are they enterprise, mostly? Consumer? Which is yours? Enterprise. Yep. And which AI engine do a lot of people use? Who's using Gemini? ChatGPT? Claude? Yep. For me, I use them all because each one has a different functionality. So depending on what I'm doing, I will use a different one. One that a lot of people don't know about, I'm going to put it on your radar. It's called Notebook LM. Notebook LM is part of Gemini, but it's a separate engine. It has really cool things. You can take it and make what are called projects. And you can load it up with as many documents as you want. And it's grounded. It only uses the information in the files and stuff that you have loaded into it. So it's grounded. People outside aren't going to see that. I had a situation where I had a bunch of contracts that I had to review and make sure that they were all the same. So I put these 30 contracts in there and I said, they're bonus programs is what they were. These are for all of our employees. Please compare all of them. Give me a summary by details. So every person or everyone that had a certain level of bonus and blah, 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 put their name there. At the end, it summarized it all. And then it said, oh, by the way, this contract was different than the rest. The wording in when it is paid is different. There's probably 4 or 5 of us that looked at that. None of us saw that. AI found it. Couple other things. The way that things were worded later in there were different. They weren't good or bad. They were just different, and you want consistency. Again, it told us about that. It did that in about 5 minutes. Imagine what that would have taken to read this, to each of them, 2 pages times 30 of them. That's 60 pages to go through, and how much time that saved. Pretty cool. Anybody else done anything similar to that? Have you used Notebook LM? Yeah, isn't it cool?
It's cool. You can make entire presentations on it.
Yeah.
I've tested that out, and I don't love the final product, but I take bits and pieces of it out and use it and format it.
Mhm.
I like how they format it. I'm like, oh, I'll put this slide here, then this slide, and then put it on that.
I take it out of there and customize it a little, then I drop it into ChatGPT for formatting, and then I tell it to save it as a PowerPoint presentation, and it exports it. Yeah. Yep. So again, the difference is enterprise controls versus consumer risk. Private LLMs, private meaning it's on your server. Nobody else is going to see it. Disclosures and transparency. Always inform participants. If you're going to record them, please let them know. In many states, it's required by law. So just let people know. I have had only one person in the last 2 years that said they weren't interested in having me record it. Everybody else loves it because I share my notes at the end, and they love the notes. Treat AI output as a draft. Why would you want to do that? This is ChatGPT. This is AI. It's got to be perfect, right? It's not. Why not?
It's about 85 to 90% correct, and then the other 10% is like a miss.
A miss. Called hallucinating. Yep.
It's not really intelligent. It's a good program.
Absolutely.
It's not intelligent. It's not conscious. It's not sentient. So therefore, you can't think. So you can't rely on it to think.
Yep.
I don't trust it very much, more so as I've used it, because it'll make stuff up.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's called hallucinating.
Yeah, I think it was a I'll tell a very embarrassing story.
Sure.
I said, you know, and I'd like.
Do you mind if I record this? No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
please, yeah. I mean, aside from the recording, I was hoping you'd be able to debunk the myth of if you say yes, then you export all of your files to whoever it is you said yes to. That can't be true. But I said, hey, can you read to me a sonnet, sonnet 126? And it generated this beautiful sonnet. And then I went to my girlfriend and I said, you know what, honey, I read this beautiful sonnet. I think it was, it might have been Shakespeare. I think AI said it was Shakespeare.
Okay.
And
It was a different Shakespeare.
Right. And so I quoted this element to her, and then I was like, I don't think I told her it was Shakespeare. I just said it was like a Renaissance poem of some kind. And I go back to the actual 126, and I'm like, this is not the same thing. And so Claude was apologizing profusely when I said, hey, what the hell? You have really...
Was there a WTF in there?
Right, well, something to that.
Exactly.
WTH.
TH, there you go, yeah.
And so yes, it was one of those situations where like it was life changing. Suddenly I was like, okay, Claude, I need to take everything that Claude tells me with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
Check it.
Absolutely. And he's absolutely right. AI does not like to be wrong or to tell you that it doesn't know something. So guess what happens? It will find something and tell it to you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But again, treat everything like a draft. Go through it. Make sure. It's funny, my son is in college. They now have programs that they take the papers that they create, and the teacher, the first thing they do is they dump it into this program, and it gives them a rating of the probability that it was written by AI. And it's really accurate. It's just, again, AI is combing AI. I mean, it's just a really interesting thing. Verify before official use. Before you publish something, verify it. Look at it, go through it, especially when it comes to statutes and things. You may say, hey, you know, we have, in the state of California, we have this statute and it does this and blah, blah, blah. It may say, oh, I see that same statute in another state and bring that information in and never tell you that. Verify what it tells you before you use it. Where is AI already used? Drafting RFPs. People, municipalities use them every day to create them. Again, treat them like a draft. It's efficient, it's great. You can easily put a template in there. You go in, you put in a template, and you say, I don't want it for office supplies. I need this solicitation for MRO for these items. Please modify this draft to do this. And it'll do it. The problem is not always with the correct information. So verify. Trust, but verify. Number 2, market research. It's great for doing market research. You can go out there and say, we are looking to do a solicitation for left-handed screwdrivers, and I'm looking for ones that blah, 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 and all this. And it'll go out there and it'll do all this research and it'll come back. Majority of it's probably correct, but some of it may not be. Vendor Q&A. Many of us have Q&A on our website, and I think, was it Ian? Showed me that in your presentation there was questionnaires where people can fill out questionnaires and stuff on the web about solicitations. Guess what they're doing? They're taking that and dropping it into AI, and they're doing answers and stuff in that way. It's not their answer, it's ChatGPT or it's somebody else's answer, and they put that in there. We just did a solicitation, and we had 52 responses, the most we've ever had to a solicitation. And a lot of those were AI generated. You could just tell right off. I mean, there were the M dashes, there was all kinds of stuff in there that was like red flags from China. Many of it even had, if I'm not mistaken, they weren't American characters, they were characters from someplace else. I mean, it's crazy. Evaluation summaries. A lot of people are taking the proposals that they get from vendors and putting them into an AI engine and saying, grade these. 2 things. Number 1, if they use a consumer AI, now all that data goes to the cloud, number 1. If they are using an enterprise, which is great, they're comparing it to potentially other proposals and stuff, it's awesome, but is it consistent? And here's the other component if you're going to have it evaluate summaries. How would the summary that you get from whatever AI engine you're using compare to how your team would have done it if you evaluated it? And I think that's the bellwether whether that engine should continue on to help you evaluate it. Because if your team does scores for that and you have 4 of those people scoring it, and they scored it, I'm going to say at the end, the average was 100 out of 200, and you put it in an AI engine and it comes out 175, what's different? Is that really what you want? Sure.
I'm gonna add on to that. I ran a scenario. I had to do an award. We were nominating, or someone was nominated for work. I had 14 applications I had to review, and I did my decision, and I picked my top 3, and then I sent it to AI to see how it would test it and see if it would compare. And my top 3 were 2 women and a man. And when I got the AI's top 3, it was all men, and the women were at the very bottom of the scale.
Really?
It was that biased because of the type of award it was doing. It didn't think
Wow.
a female was a leading candidate. And
Wow.
you know who won the award this year? Carrie freaking Mathis, who's a freaking rock star, and AI put her at the very bottom.
Really?
So just be very cautious. Do your due diligence
Yes.
first, and
Yes.
have AI see if you're on the right track.
Right. So again, you need to verify. Take what it's doing and compare it to what your department would do from an evaluation standpoint, just to verify. Any other comments, thoughts? Does that make sense? CIA triad. Are you familiar with this? So in security, in cybersecurity, there's the triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And you can't have the highest of all 3. It just can't. So if you're higher in confidentiality, you're lower in integrity, or you're lower in availability. And this is what you want to think about is when you're using these tools, where do you want to fall with this? Is confidentiality the most important? Well, if it is, guess what? You're going to lose some of the integrity. You're going to lose some of the availability. But if you want availability, you might not have it as confidential. So know that there are companies out there that literally help you on the outset create systems that use these tools based on what you think your risk is about using AI. Does that make sense? Again, confidentiality, integrity, availability. And if anybody wants this presentation, again, leave a business card, just say presentation, and the amendment and the guidelines. I'm happy to send those to you. Data exposure. I thought this picture was kind of the truth. It's an agency. What I'm about to tell you is between you, me, and social media. These days, isn't that pretty true? So much of what we do goes to the web, goes to social media. The same thing is true when you start using AI engines. As an example, Copilot, which is embedded in Microsoft. The good part is, in most cases, that is an enterprise version. So whatever it captures stays in your LLM. It doesn't go out to the web. But know that if you turn on Copilot in your instance of Office 365, it looks at everything that you have. It looks at your emails. It looks at your calendar. It looks at all kinds of stuff, which is a good and a bad. But what it does is, some of the stuff, if you don't keep it locally, if you have an instance of Office 365 that is not enterprise, some of that data may go out to the web. So again, be careful about how you connect AI.
That would be an agent AI that you, a copilot.
Yes. Well, part of it is and part of it isn't. It's an agent if it goes out and scrubs. That would be the agentic part. The generative part is where you go in and you put in a prompt and then search your data, your LLM, for something you're looking for. Correct. Again, sensitive data in the AI tools, it's going to show up there if you have something as an agent combing your data. Unknown retention, it's going to save things. You may delete a file, but guess what? The information and the actual crux of what was in that email may still be in your LLM. What does that mean from a legal standpoint? If there's a legal hold, let's say that somebody protests a solicitation, or you have a citizen that sues the city and they put a legal hold on documents. What does AI mean to that? I'm not a lawyer, but there is a lawyer here in the room in case you need one, by the way. So again, the retention of information that you may not think is still there may still be there. What are some of the AI gotchas? We talked a little bit about AI hallucination. AI does not like to tell you it does not know. So what does it do? Find you an answer. It is confident, but incorrect output. When it gives to you, it sounds like it is gospel, right? It may not be. It was funny. I went in and one day I was trying to write some articles about procurement. And one of them was, it said, you know, get testimonials from some of your members and blah, blah, blah. So I copied that into another prompt and I said, help me write an article about this. It went out there and it said all of these great things about us, and this customer said this and this customer said that. And I go, wow, how did it pull all that in? So I started to look in our database. We don't have those customers. It was all made up. Literally, all of it was made up. So again, it's a draft, verify. Statistical prediction, not fact-checking. Use AI to predict, to try and understand, but verify what it's looking at. Does it make sense? Verify. High risk in legal or procedural or procurement work. When you use AI, how could that open you up to liability if something is not correct? If you go out there and it gives you information that is a hallucination, it's not true, and you publish that, what are the legal ramifications of that? And the procurement ones. Let's say that a decision was made on a supplier based on a summary that AI did, and it's wrong. What are the liabilities? What does that mean for the municipality? Any thoughts, comments?
Could be budgetary. You run an estimate.
Yeah.
You know, on a construction project, we want 3 to 4 bathrooms per floor, and then, you know, it doesn't. I mean, that's a significant cost difference if
Yeah.
it turns into actually the designer came up with 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's many ways that you can use it for the good. Just verify. That's the main thing. What are the implications? Why hallucinations matter. False facts become official records. It finds a bunch of information, it puts it into a solicitation, or let's say you put it into a summary document at the end of the solicitation and it's incorrect, and you publish it. Where's that record go? What does that mean? Audit and protest exposure. Let's say you make an award and you used AI to evaluate the proposals. You don't verify, you just say, yep, that looks great, and you go ahead. And then all of a sudden, you go back and look and somebody protests. Or they require an audit and they go back and they look at the audit and it's like, no. What does that do from a liability and a legality standpoint? Invented statutes, incorrect, we talked about those. Incorrect requirements, risks, Research errors, if you go out and do research and it makes things up and it tells you it as fact, that could be a problem. Bias specs. I mean, we heard biased right there in a prime example where we were evaluating somebody. That's bias. Evaluation errors. I would be willing to bet that if you took 5 proposals and you put them in 5 different AI engines, you are going to get totally different outputs on the other side. It's not good, it's not bad, they're different. Keep in mind that if you take those same 5 proposals and you give it to 2 different groups of 5, you're going to have something different. The bottom line is, what is, for that municipality, what are they agreeing to as should be the standard? Correct? That's what you go by, and then I would evaluate the search engines based on that. Any questions so far? Any other experiences anybody want to talk about? Misquoted proposals, defensibility issues. I don't think I need to talk about those, are pretty self-apparent. AI and identity risk. Over-permissioned agents. Remember, agents are things that do things on your behalf. Imagine that you run an agent that goes out and can look at purchases and then based on a certain number of things can automatically approve a purchase order below a certain amount of money, whatever it is. Imagine it runs incorrectly. Something happens where that agent does not run. Here's where I would expect to see that. All of a sudden, ChatGPT puts out an update. You know it's an update, but how does that affect what it does for us? It updates its software. Now it doesn't run the way it did yesterday. Did it change something? That's why in many cases in most municipalities, automatic updates don't happen. They happen after you verify that the update works the way you want it to. The same thing is going to be true with AI. Don't just assume an update is everything's going to be fine. Trust, but verify. Credential abuse. Records and retention. AI outputs may be public records. What you get out of an AI engine may become public record. That's why you don't want hallucinations, you don't want misinformation in those. It just makes everybody look bad, and that's a lot more work to retract that stuff. Procurement guardrails. Now let's talk a little bit not about what you get out of it, but how do you use it? It's always good to have some guardrails and boundaries about AI. Where do you use it? Where don't you use it? A lot of this you can get working with your IT department. They can really help you a lot with this to understand what are those guardrails. One of those documents that I'm happy to send you at the end that I talked about up front has some of those guardrails in it. And I'm happy to send those to anybody that wants them to try and use them within their municipality. Make sure that whatever you publish has a human author, not an AI author. What does that mean? That means you treat it as a draft, you verify, you edit, you make sure that what's in it is what you would have put in there if you did the research and everything on your own. Things should have a human author, not an AI author. Source verification. Whenever I do something and I'm looking at statistics or I get data, I always ask the search engine, cite the reference. So that way I can click on it and go back and say, oh, I want to learn more about that. I want to verify, number one, it's a trusted source, it's verifiable, it's in line with what we would have done if we did our own research. Approval thresholds. Again, if you're looking at an agentic AI where it is an agent doing something, what are the approvals? You don't want to create an AI routine where your normal approval is, I'm going to say $1,200, but the AI engine can approve up to $3,000. Again, there's a dissimilarity in approvals. Cybersecurity guardrails. We talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. Understand your data, understand your applications, blah, blah, blah. You are going to start seeing in the industry, if you haven't already, a lot of tools that have AI built into it. My question to the supplier is, what is your LLM? Where do you get the large language module? And is that large language model built off of my data? Because the last thing that you want is for them to use your data in their LLM that is now accessible to people outside of your municipality, potentially a vendor. Ask the tough questions to understand what it truly means. Monitoring. When you start talking about monitoring and logging and incident planning, monitoring, who has AI? What can they do with it? What can't they do with it? All of those things. Monitor it. Many of these things have login logs, what you've done, all that. Verify. Again, back to your IT department to help implement some of these things. Logging of who's logging in, who's using it. Incident planning. If something happens, what do you do? What don't you do? It's always better to have a plan before you have the problem than try and plan afterwards, right? "90-day action plan." What I'd like for each of you to do when you leave is have published AI rules. What are the guidelines? One of them, part of it is something that I can send you, but what are the rules for using AI within your department, within the municipality? Guardrails. Think about those things in advance. Access exposure. You've got all this information in there. Who has access to it and who doesn't? It's no different than when you're saving files on your server. Who has access to those files? The same thing is true with AI. When you have an enterprise version of an AI engine, you can put in there who can see your prompts, your agents, and all of those things. You may have a team where it's perfect. Everybody shares it. They all learn from it. But in some cases, you don't want people outside of your group or your department to have access to those things. You don't want somebody in another department that wants a piece of equipment that as a friend is trying to sell them some equipment, be able to look at a proposal in advance. It's the same reason we wouldn't send them the solicitation in advance now on paper. Same thing here. Train the staff. So leadership takeaways. AI is here. It's not going away. It's going to change. And I think we had mentioned this earlier. Give it a week, AI is going to change again. It's continuing to evolve. It's being embedded in many different softwares and processes and other things. It's here. Let's figure out how to use it properly and safely so that it doesn't open our departments and such up to liability. Governance differences. What governs what you can and can't do with AI? Can you use it for proposals, proposal evaluations, whatever that may be? Figure out what that looks like. Define the terms. And in closing, adapt with guardrails. AI is going to change. The guardrails you have today may not be the same guardrails next week or the week to follow. Keep up on what's going on in AI so that you stay ahead of it. Transparency. The Public, our constituents love transparency. If there's a problem, get ahead of it early. Let people know this is what we're doing, this is what we're not doing. That helps so much with the vendors that you're going to have if you are very upfront about what you will and will not allow with AI in what you're doing, but also your expectations from them. Questions. How do you handle question asking and those things for solicitations, for things within your department? Thank you for attending today. What questions, thoughts, comments do you have? Sure.
I am a novice on AI.
Sure.
You said that there's different AI, like Claude and
Yep.
GPT, ChatGPT. How do you know what works best for what situations?
That's a great question. A lot of it is going out there and searching and learning about what experience people have. If you were to go out as an example, there's got to be 30 different AI engines out there. The top ones are going to be ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. Then you start getting down where there's one for Gronk and there's a bunch of others. Go out there and start learning about them. Go into procurement forums and just say, I'm in the procurement market. Tell me the difference between the different AI engines and how they function within procurement or within whatever you're looking for. Start to do your homework. There's a lot of people out there talking about it. And there was 2 great articles, I'd have to find them, that talked about if you're looking to do this, I would suggest this be the order that you use AI engines. If you're writing a paper, I would suggest these. If you're trying to create a graphic, use these. And it really starts to walk you through, depending on what you're going to do, which search engine. Now, and I'm going to say that, this week, that list may be correct. Next week, that list may be flipped upside down because they came out with an update. So stay up on it as much as you can, but search. Go out there and learn.
I can help add to that.
Sure.
If you just want to use for writing solicitations, because we use OpenGov for our solicitations, but the client department is not so happy with having to draft their own solicitation using our template school, because we're a procurement department, so they don't want to use our template.
Where do you work, by the way?
County of Alameda.
Okay, yeah.
So they want to just, like he said, take an RFP or RFQ that's already been done, and they just want to copy it and just tell AI to change it.
Cut and paste.
Cut and paste.
Yep.
And have AI do it for them. They asked us to use Beacon Bid. So
What do they want you to use?
They want to use Beacon Bid. Because Beacon Bid
Yep.
advertises 32 million something already done solicitations that
Okay.
they can copy
Yep.
from. Right? So
Yep.
I don't know, but they're getting it approved, because they're a big agency within the counties.
Yep.
That's what they're gonna do. Because if you don't know anything about AI, you have to set up the parameters, and that could be a whole can of worms.
Yes.
And then so if you strictly want to use solicitations, you can consider that. There are softwares that will.
And there's quite a few that were here that have AI tools that you can use in the procurement side to help you do things. So you don't have to create it from scratch. But outside of solicitations, there's other things that, you're going to write a memo or you're going to do different things. There's a lot of tools out there, AI-wise, based on what you're trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. What other questions, thoughts, comments? Yes?
So I just have a thought here. I'm one of the suppliers for NPPGov.
Yep.
And I work for managed service provider. So we do IT, cybersecurity, all that
Yep.
stuff. And so one of the things that
What's the name of your company?
TPX,
Okay.
one of the things that we have noticed is an uptick when people use AI incorrectly, to your point, that the information was out there. In the advisory service, we've had to pivot because a lot of the information that is being input just for, just to kind of get to know how the engines work, how the AI engines work, you're actually exposing a lot of information within your company that then that can disable your
Correct. Absolutely. And know that there are providers out there. TPX, Intuitis is another one. Literally, this is what they help you do. They help you with AI, but then they also help you with the cyber components around it, because AI in and of itself is just one component. There's also the data, there's the access, there's vulnerability from you doing something that allows people into your system. My suggestion is evaluate what you're looking at. And my rule is, if I want a professional job, hire a professional. This is one of those situations where spending the extra money long term can keep you out of a lot of trouble. Correct? Yeah. You know, yes, they're our vendor and stuff, but I can tell you, this is something that is changing. It is hard to keep your arms around it. People like TPX and stuff, that's what they do for a living. They help you do these things, and you can ask them the questions and stuff to help get you where you need to go. Other questions? Somebody else had a question? Yes, sir.
My agency, I work for Golden Gate Bridge District.
Yep.
And, you know, we've been looking at a lot of different things with AI. You know, directions to people giving us their RFPs versus giving us a product of the RFP.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things like that. But another thing that was interesting, our agency decided that we would prohibit AI note-taking in internal meetings.
Yep.
Because of the fear that that would now become a public record.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's interesting though, because if you're typing or writing notes, you can call it a draft, and it's not a public record.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's kind of unknown right now whether or not AI note-taking is going to be a public record. So I was just
That is a great point.
curious if anybody else had taken that route as far as.
Yeah.
My agency does not allow the use of AI note-taking apps for any public meetings, pre-proposal meetings, or any internal meetings at all. It's completely.
And that would include Copilot or anything built into the software?
We have an allowable use policy.
Yep.
For non-proprietary information and non-confidential information to help develop work.
Yep.
But we disallow the complete use of any AI note-taking in any capacity for.
Interesting.
Either internal or external.
That's great to know. You know, you know, kudos to you for being ahead of the curve on that. Most people and most municipalities are not. So, somebody else?
We don't allow it for social meetings or internal meetings, but for the public meetings, the council members that the public is invited to, we do allow note-taking. And the city reporter, who's me, actually, I'm third partying it. No, I will used to use Otter AI to do the transcription, and then I would take that and have it summarize that, put that in the meeting minutes, but I was the human in the loop, making sure that the summary matched what was actually being said.
Yep.
But in comparison, I went from like an 8-hour time frame to do meeting minutes, down to a 2-hour meeting and getting done in an hour. It's just a really efficient way to do it. But if you have constraints against that, that's fine. But public meetings typically be allowed to do a transcription.
Yeah.
Still doing live transcription for board meetings.
Okay.
So somebody is sitting there doing it?
We have live transcription.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that, both of you. What else? What other comments do you want to bring up? Again, this is a great place for everybody to learn from each other and what you're experiencing in each of your municipalities and stuff. Sure.
There's a further question about how do I compare different AI models. There's a website called artificialanalysis.ai, and it'll tell you like what's the overall most effective this week. Starting with like right now, it's I think ChatGPT, the 5.2, then it's Claude, Opus. It'll tell you the most overall, and then it'll say according to these different sort of emphases.
Criteria.
The model will be best at this, but the website is artificialanalysis.ai. It was passed off by a friend of mine who works in the tech industry, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'll just say if it is useful to you and you find it informative as with AI, take it with a grain of salt or,
Perfect.
or use it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Sure. And I know that there are third-party like Consumer Reports that are out there to grade the different AI engines on different criteria, speed, and all these different things. So along with that, there's a couple other sites out there that analyze it for different components. And like I said, speed, accuracy, a lot of different things. And that's another place to go for evaluating what you should use or could use. What other comments? Was this helpful? Anything we didn't cover that you wished I had? Awesome. Well, if everybody that is interested in having me send them the presentation or the addendum or the guidelines, grab a business card or write your name and your email address on a piece of paper, and we will get those to you on Monday. So, and thanks everybody for coming to my session.
Bill, thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
On behalf of CAPPO, here's a gift for you.
Thank you.
As a reminder, please, if you could, everybody fill out your survey in the app.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.